going back to Africa. That's a separatist movement, leaving the United States.
Right.
Liberia, like even the colonization society, like them like leaving America, going to Liberia, creating an entirely, you know what I'm saying, new land and all of that. That's separatism.
My point was that the polarizing, the ones that actually had a significant impact on American history, wasn't.
Bro, I'm not polarizing nothing. I'm
Now,
talking
I'm not
about.
saying that you were polarizing. I'm saying that the ones that was actually, like the Moorish science, those are the ones that kind of stood out. Um, you know, even to a certain extent, the UNIA they did have Back to Africa, right? But it was kind of mixed in with a lot of other shit. That would probably be the only major one that I would actually say. But the Nation of Islam, Moors, they wasn't trying to leave America.
Nope.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's why the conversation of separatism, like what the fuck, like what that actually means, like that's why this whole these conversations get convoluted, and they have more to do with like who it's attached to, what was their ideology, who was their leaders, than what it means to actually separate. That's the rhetoric is associated with a quote unquote detachment, but the conversation of a detachment isn't at the forefront. It's
I had
ideology. It's other shit.
a professor. I think it was 20. I think it was 20th century African history. He was an Israelite, and he was writing um what they call it for the doctor's dissertation, right? What they call it?
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
so for his
uh,
PhD or for
yeah,
his
for his
masters.
PhD. Yeah, he already had his master's. He was working on his dissertation for his doctor's degree, I believe. And we would have conversations, and it would be like similar to like the same type of thing. And what he did was he began to all right, well, show me. So I invited him to a Wesley Muhammad lecture. So we go to the Wesley Muhammad lecture, and I think he was Wesley Muhammad. What was he talking about? Um, I think he was talking about that the Prophet Muhammad was actually a black Arab, something to that degree. So the from the standpoint of what academia says, and then like the information that, even though he's like a person that's collegiate and got his doctorate degree in university as well, but you know um the avenue that he used to use his argument went against the established norms. Like he was actually using hadiths that was not sahih or authentic. He went into different areas of history to prove his point, really outside of, you know, it's kind of even going against to a certain degree, the established academia. And he kind of got fascinated with that. He was like, um, it was like a new form of information. Now you got the other side of that, and it's like the other side of, um, the collegiate. They kind of like, they tell you some shit that just ain't true. It's just like, that's the other side of it. A bunch of niggas that saying some shit that is not really grounded in solid research. So it's the same thing, because information is information at the end of the day, and I know that in certain circles, certain books come out. That's why I got books, you know, um, that I got from college, and then I have books that I got from the quote unquote conscious community. So when I quote a certain book, like the conscious community would know, you know, who that person is, and but academia wouldn't, and then vice versa. I talk about Cedric Benson, and I bring that up. Like the conscious community don't really know who that is, So it's just like it's the same thing if I was the, you know, without Yahoo Canan, but maybe somebody like Walter Williams. You know what I'm saying? That he's just like they wouldn't know who that is. Like, you know, the universities probably wouldn't know who that was. I mean, Walter Williams. You know, the Africana studies kind of like bringing in certain perspectives. Like they'll Africana studies would talk about they'll give Ivan Van Sertima, you know, um, people like that, and even Joseph Benyak and to a certain degree, but they wouldn't go Bobby Hennett. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you know, information is information. You know, that's how I treated it. You bring up certain points up in the college, they'll think it's just stupid, really. And on the flip side, if you do that in the college community, they'll just think that you're indoctrinated by college, mainstream rhetoric. Well, it's just like it's just like one of those things.
You should have a mixture of both, bro. And one
Yeah,
should
that's how
be checking
that's how
the other
you
one.
yeah you that's how you're able to get the upper hand. Really.
Yeah. I can't stand nigga. I mean, I don't mean I can't stand it. I find it difficult to have a decent conversation with a motherfuckers that's just straight white, this system indoctrinated. Like they'll go and get proof that they said this. And it's like, bro, that's what this is all about. We're trying to sift through the bullshit and find the truth. And
Yeah, because it's like I mean, even like the responsibility of a person that's in power on how they're going to educate the masses. It's just like it has to be structured in a certain type of way, and then when you get with structure, it's going to be certain things that's left out. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's for political purposes, or it's just like, okay, well, I don't think they really need to know all that. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like how they want the society to go. So that's their responsibility. Absolutely. Like, okay, since we're becoming a more technocratic, society, let's focus in on, understanding how to use the computer. Let's get them the kind of geared on, being able to navigate on the computer, because that's what they're going to be doing for the most part in the future.
So yeah, they put it in
understanding the deeper aspects of history. No, we just give them a basic, and I was like, so that's that's something that they gotta, that's why it's curriculums and people talks about this all the time. But the it becomes a conflict when a certain group of people has now been robbed of their history. So now they want to know more about the history. And now you look at Runoko Rashidi and his lectures, like anything that had a semblance of color, he was running with it. You know what I'm saying? And so that could be problematic, in terms of understanding what the truth is. So then you have like a rebut from the established academia where they got to now get the experts to show like, oh no, that's not really the case. So then they have to admit to certain things, in the process of this whole thing. So information is information at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's all about discernment, bro. It's all about discernment.
Yeah, because I think it was Near East Studies, and did a Jewish professor. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna let you in on a secret about this Africana studies. None of the other curriculums take them seriously." That's what he said.
That ain't even. That's what I'm saying. That ain't even a secret. Like,
yeah.
Like if you look at the history of Africana studies in the first place, they were not something that was welcomed by the university. Niggas had to fight for that shit. Niggas had to fight for AFAM program. You feel me? And even to this day, bro, like some of the most distinguished professors on these campuses, I mean, with an extensive amount of work in Black literature and in Black thought, get treated like shit. by the university.
But
You know
yeah,
what
some
I'm
of these
saying?
niggas talking like them now. Like, like because his whole thing was like, yeah, the Egyptians weren't, African. I'm like, is Egypt in Africa? He's like, yeah, but they weren't like black, you know what I meant to say. I'm like, okay, yeah. So because that whole thing is like shit is defined and shit.
Yeah, but
You can
yeah,
rewrite
but
history by just redefining shit.
but
So, Near
and
East studies, Near East studies means, that little Fertile Crescent area, including Egypt. And they just
exactly.
like they were able to take it out of Africa, and then it's like, okay, but it's in
That,
Africa though.
and to be for real, that's how they delegitimize a lot of black shit. That's how they delegitimize a lot of black shit. And I think we as a like even listening to Lance talk about like who get their information from what and where, like nigga, if niggas haven't questioned them saying their own beliefs and perceptions and where that shit come from,
He needs to
like
do a little bit of fine tuning on what he's saying because he is a gray area that like because it's like certain things that he say. We know that
yeah,
the Moors, because what we do know for certain is that the Moors ruled parts of Europe for 700 years.
and we do know that the Jews were expelled from Spain.
And
Like
so
that, it's also because it's all type of like historical shit that niggas can point out and be like, yes, like that's something that
so
happened.
we I mean, just like on a surface level, like the white man has been over here in America for what 400 some years.
Yeah.
So the Moors ruled parts of Europe for 700 years. Now the whites are the majority over here. And we talk about like the backlash from the Germanic invasions once the Visigoths kind of disintegrated, and this Moorish now push into Spain and Portugal, and they actually for 700 years. So now okay, what were they doing in these parts of Europe, and what was the names of the people that was actually in power? You know what I'm saying? Like, who was these people, and what was their religion, and what were their practices? Because we know that ultimately, this was like a whole thing of in many ways cleaning up Europe, and they say civilizing, and that could just be rhetoric, no different than what the white man was saying about the Native Americans, but this is what they're saying. So you look at some of the pictures and you see very dark Africans, and then they have certain practices that they still do to this day that's kind of centered around this whole thing, like about they put the black face on. They have like a celebration in Spain. They like put the black face on, and like the Moors, they call it the something, and then they put the little Afro wigs on and shit. And I think Francis Cress Welsing said something about the bull rush. The bull rush was a symbolic thing that they was doing to kind of represent the expulsion of the Moors.
You talking about the bull run?
The bull run.
The running of the bulls.
Yeah. That's what I heard. So they still have certain practices that's there that maybe reflect the rule of African people. But I think where Lance kind of goes into another area because he says that they're indigenous Europeans. So that's kind of what
that throws it off.
Kind of throws it off to a certain degree.
Yeah. Because then that's saying that the people that but in honestly, I don't think Lance is 100% wrong when he talks about like melanated people or people like darker skinned people, like indigenous darker skinned people in those areas. You feel me? Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily believe that's wrong. It's the identity that we ascribe onto them. You feel me?
Jews.
'Cause if it's any,
in terms of like how academic, for example, like not all Europeans are attached to ancient Greece, but that's what represents them as far as an ancient European. They will go to Greece, they will go to Rome.
no,
You
no,
understand what
right,
I'm
and
saying?
that's and right, just like you got like the ancient, like the ancient Irish people. You feel me? The ancient, like the people before the
The
outside of the
first
modern
people, the
understanding.
indigenous people.
Indigenous, right? The Aboriginal people.
When I
Like,
showed y'all the Moors versus the wild man, dog, that's what happened. It is them
no,
motherfuckers.
and that's what I'm saying. That type of shit, traditional or like story,
Mhm.
that I'm not saying that story didn't take place per se. What I'm saying is that what we like what you do, Lance, is you overlay our current understanding of today onto them. And then you say they are these people, but in actuality, they were a distinct people. You feel me? They had their own conflict, they had their own culture, they had their own name, they had their own language. But because what was known to them is lost to us, we got to make it make sense.
Naturally. But
Yeah.
but we don't come out of the sky. You know what I'm saying? We come from a people and these people they don't all look the same that we do today. It took a group of people to make us who we are today. You feel what I'm saying? So it's hard. So when I agree with the, so-called the Black experience, with my studies with that debate with you, I understood it better. But the fact is that Blacks are not, they are not this, all right, as a people today, we are brand new people. It took a different group of people to mix us. In the past, not many people were able to make this grand of a mixture because they were all nationalities. There were wars, there were barriers that prevented these mixtures to occur that happens here in the new world in America. You feel what I'm saying? But those people, those Sephardi Jews, those people are the ones, those Moors, those people are our ancestors. That we don't come down. You can't look at them separately today and say, well, we don't look like them. Well, it took a group of different mixtures. Some of them come from Germany. Some of them come from Russia. Some of them come from Portugal. Some of them been on the south side of Africa for a long time. Some of them on the West Coast. But whatever occurred that got us all here made our parents. And we look like no other people in history.
Did you read that book, African Presence in Europe?
Yeah, I did.
I'm talking about Goma.
No, I ain't never read that.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a compilation type of book where it's like different authors. It's not like Ivan Van Sertima actually was the person that actually combined all these different scholarly articles, explaining like, from the time of prehistoric time all the way up into, I believe, modern time. Medieval as go as far as medieval. This African presence that was in Europe.
And you know what? That's why
I think that what's his name? In the beginning, what's his name? I forget what his name is, but he the one, he talks about, like, prehistoric times. It was like the Grimaldi man coming out of Africa, and the artifacts was actually found in Spain, and they'll use that as the foundation. Then they go into like during the time of the Roman Empire, how it was like African presence in these parts of Europe. It was like Black people there, and what they
when you say Black, you saying African.
Yeah, well, African. yeah, like color Black, as far as how we consider Black to be. Like, so they're saying that the European actually comes out of Central Asia, and it's like migrations, that actually occurred where they actually kind of becoming, that's why they call it the Germanic invasions. Like, they were like invading these areas, now Western Asia or modern day Europe, that they invaded those areas coming out of Central Asia. This is what is being said. So they're not the indigenous European, is what the theory.
Right. And I can believe that. I can definitely believe that. I don't have to. I'm not attached to, you know what I'm saying, proving that shit wrong. I'm really not. Yeah, I'm really not. That's why I said, man, go ahead and start doing his streams, bro. Breaking down that information.
Lance,
See,
Lance is
the thing
gonna,
is with
I'm saying
me,
he's gonna be beating y'all up with that information, man. He's gonna be
but
beating y'all.
the thing is with me is, I listen to all information. I mean, you may hear me disagree with it, but even Lance knows I recall shit Lance say. You know what I mean? I've looked shit up because niggas
Yeah,
said it.
he'll
You
throw
know
that
what I
shit
mean?
back at your ass, nigga.
Like
And he'll even attribute it. It don't matter if it's me or whoever. He always say, just like such and such pointed out, so and so and so and so, and you will be on point. Like you remember, you listening for sure.
Yeah, we may disagree ideologically, but I take in all the information. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like shit. It's gonna be interesting to see what the beef is for season 4. You feel me? Because if me and A9 make it to the finals, it's a capitalism debate already. We already know. Like ain't no question. He ran from that shit. He left. He left the league. You know what I mean? And came back when I was already done with all my debates. So yeah, we got some unsettled business. You feel me? But it's 2 more debates, bro. And we in the championship. Finally. Shit. Finally. Lance can go into season 4 saying he a playoff debater. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought about that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I did feel like I could beat all of y'all. Like I didn't feel like you niggas was more intellectually skilled than me, man. I felt like, but it's about the debate. You know what I'm saying? I learned that. But yeah, next season, bro, since I learned how to debate, I'm gonna be whipping that ass, bro. It's just clear. But I have to train y'all first. I have to not train. I have to update your knowledge so it don't sound foolish when I say something. So yes, that's what made me do the stream. That's what make me do the hookup, because if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I bring something, it's gonna sound crazy.
Yeah, a lot of I will say that you do got niggas like kind of being used to you've numbed us to the wild shit now. Niggas is kind of used to that shit now. It ain't like, what the fuck is he? It's like, yeah, that's just what Lance be talking about.
And I think it's the zeitgeist, bro, at the times. Like, I think that the creator power allows certain knowledge to come forth so that we all can grow. You know what I'm saying? And this is just our little microcosm. It's happening on all levels. That's why it's not no big deal no more. It's not crazy. If somebody say slavery didn't happen according to the paradigm, you might hear a motherfucker say, I might agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I've learned something that made me realize that all Negroes wasn't in slavery like they told us. Like grand majority, a great portion of it. A lot of children were mostly enslaved than adults. They had painted a whole nother picture. So we're growing. We're becoming smarter as a people. And it ain't just happening, like I'm saying, here on Solar. It's just that time.
Nah, but you know what? I say this though. I think a lot of times, I'm really not invested in and I don't think a lot of people should be in the history of it, to be like, I just refuse to believe that it could be a lie. Like, it could be.
No, I really, bro, if somebody would have told me this in let's say around 2004, slavery didn't happen and Jesus Christ was an antichrist, if you will, it would have been definitely something. It would have been definitely something that I would have thought about. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have had a
You don't believe that slavery existed at all?
No, I believe that slavery existed. Like I was reading in a book about one of the testimonies of the slaves, of the so-called slaves, and she was like, one day we can move about freely as will. We was all prepared to leave, and the next day we were slaves. One day we was indentured, and the next day we were slaves. And they show how it just let it happen legislatively. It wasn't nothing that happened over time. It was something that happened over a vote, over a night. You know what I'm saying? And the blacks wasn't being used to being mistreated, like that. So you seen our ancestors in the 60s, 50s and 60s fighting like what the fuck. In the 40s, they wasn't being, you know what I'm saying? In the 30s, you know what I'm saying? So you will see a great portion of African American communities doing well in that time frame.
Come on, like in the 30s.
Not just in the 30s.
So you do you believe that Jim Crow existed in that time?
Yeah, a portion of it. But you got to remember, it's not the entire United States. Everybody is not experiencing the same thing. Everyone isn't experiencing the same thing at the same time. And then again, like I said, when I realized what the actual slave owners, what they actually were, many of them were devout, you know what I'm saying, Hebraic people. They kept the law secretly. They, you know what I'm saying, were covert Jews, you know what I'm saying? So it lets you know the wickedness that they put on the so-called slave owners. And I'm thinking about it like everybody in history that, you know what I'm saying, did something for blacks, they deemed like wicked. You don't find out that they actually did something for blacks until you get older and get to learn, actual history. But and I'm trying to, give an example. I don't want to say, I don't want to say like, Hitler. I don't want to say him, but you learn, for example, the paradigm that they gave us, the narrative that they presented to us in schools. It wasn't exactly what
wasn't totally accurate. That's what
exactly. So
yeah. I mean, and that's why you definitely.
See, I think what Domo, because I noticed that used an example of Hitler. Now, I did enough reading on how Hitler came to power, but somebody will go as far as saying, well, Hitler was actually a good guy. No,
I wouldn't say that at all.
No, not you, but it's people that says that. Matter of fact, Good God Alive be saying that. I'm like, nah, he wasn't. He was manipulated by American philanthropists, or they call it the Illuminati, whatever. Yeah, they did help finance, and they had a particular agenda. And once they actually crafted out this whole war machine, and they used them. That's true. But he was a wicked motherfucker still. He still was a wicked motherfucker. With these racist perspectives, and he was cool with the whole thing until he began to find out that he was being used, and then eventually they had to really get rid of him at that point. But that's what they wanted to do anyway. That's what it was. It was no different than what we was talking about with the JFK situation.
Yeah. Saddam Hussein.
Once Osborne knew that he was
Muammar Gaddafi. All of the same motherfuckers.
Yeah.
All the same. It's the same scene. It's this over and over. You know what I'm saying? The same
scenario.
Thank you. Over and over, bro. It's like you already know. Like, think about this, bro. Before 9/11, I was 91, the 91 boy, the Desert Storm.
Mm-hmm.
There was no cell phone towers in Iraq, T-Mobile, McDonald's. As soon as they shit got bombed and they began to rebuild the infrastructure, you had like T-Mobile, Burger Queen, like you had American companies now. They reset it, rebuilt the infrastructure, and then had rebuilt it with America corporations kind of like consuming
the image of the beast, really.
Yeah, right, bro. But look, see, so you can see it happen throughout history, though. and we're living in the midst of it continuing to happen.
Right.
Yeah, I don't disagree, bro. I don't disagree.
So
Okay.
go ahead, Domo.
Nah, yeah, like I think it's a lot of shit just to be skeptical of. Our break. That's why a lot of this stuff I don't want to be arguing about because it's there's no real net benefit. Like even if like a nigga do feel that type of way, like it's too many places where you can point to like like where that shit was like spot on. Like a nigga got called a conspiracy theorist, and then when the truth came out, everybody else was looking like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like that niggas will always have that argument. Always.
It's like 50 years from now, I'm trying to argue that we lived in a post-racial society.
You will be able to.
Yeah, you will be able to do that. Like it was like, okay, somebody like, well, you had a black president. And when I look at statistics in America, interracial marriage was like, like you can actually show that, like you can actually prove that, and but we know in real time that okay, yeah, but cops are still pulling mules from bullshit, and you got injustices in economics and education and housing, and like so. But you can make an argument, and then the people looking at it in hindsight, like what's the who's going to have more documents, for that, it's going to be the person for the post-racial, literally what's his name, the black dude, hustle man, I forget what his name, Morgan, what's his name,
Tracy
Morgan. He comes on Saturday Night Live and says, "Welcome to post-racial America." That's what he says. So it's just like, and this is why they do that. This is why they'll take like the Nas X and parade them all around. It's just like, because when you look back on it, they might get this was a key mark in the LGBT community. This is a key point in this, because that for a fact, because when you look at the feminist movement and when you look at the different movements, it's always like a polarizing moment that they'll take and make it historical. Like they'll make it like, okay, yeah, this moment, this is when things changed, so when there's a lot of other gray area elements that played a role into what actually happened. So this is why, like, in other civilizations, they don't tell history like that, because they're doing the same thing though. It's almost like they're making it to more like a myth.
Absolutely, bro.
Than actual history. They're like, okay,
certain things.
They'll say like, well, Rosa Parks, stood it when when you actually read it, it was the other person that did it before her, but see, this was like a polarizing, so they made her, into a legend in a way, but in other cultures, they'll actually make it into a real legend, where they, make it to more mythological. But the story is actually an event that happened,
Yeah.
So,
bro, that shit is called propaganda, nigga. Propaganda. And what's crazy is that like, if you even if you just watch History Channel for a week, do you know how many
lies?
Like, nah. Do you know how many what you really didn't know about history shits that'll come on that channel? Like niggas saying like one thing about history, and they shouldn't just saying nope, that's just completely incorrect. Like the whole shit is like it's everything is framed by the winners. Period. The people in control feed you what they need you to know in order for you to have the type of relationship you got with the society that you live in. Like George Washington was a coward. They needed him. So they need people to look at him as a hero, as a respectable soldier. He was a coward. It's that type of shit. It's propaganda, bro.
Yeah. So
Social
do you think they
engineering.
create these heroes to prevent us from uprising? So it's almost like somebody saying, "Hey, I got this," and then it causes the people to sit back.
Well, I think it's one way to prevent us from uprising because like they can they can prevent it any way they want to. But the easiest way to do it is to convince a motherfucker that you're doing it on your own. You're doing it for yourself. That's the easiest way. But so I'm not necessarily gonna say no. I do think it is like to keep niggas subjugated, but it's easier to subjugate a people when they believe that they in control. That's all.
You know what, bro? The crazy shit is we're not subjugated. I don't like I said. I mean, we're not, man, because you got everybody to oversee us will be the ones that's in the military. Like our people are in the militaries. Our people are in
Man,
all of these
you
different.
proving my point, bro. That's the illusion.
That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing in a sense because, but on the other hand, it's only an illusion. It's not
He
no
said
real
exactly what he
subjugation.
was saying though. Like no, he was saying right that they frame history is an easier way to keep people subjugated. So in essence, if I could mentally get them to believe in this narrative, that would be ideal for me. And that'd be the easiest way of controlling people.
Right.
And so then you turned around and said that, well, we're not really oppressed.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, he was
like
qualifying what I said because I asked him that first. He was kind of like qualifying what I said first, but I was just saying when you actually think about it, we're not really oppressed. We can actually just
Do you believe that we're oppressed no more?
yes,
no, man. We're
yeah,
not.
bro. 'Cause look,
What do you
like for example, like we all agree that race is a social construct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we would agree with that phrase, that statement,
Mm-hmm.
right?
well, as we know it
Yeah,
today.
as we know it today, right? Like the whole black, white, all of that shit is like made up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But what happens is the way that we respond to it and we talk about it and we engage it and we believe it. You feel me? White people don't gotta constantly tell us that we black once they convince you that you black. They don't gotta put it in your face. They don't have to be like, hey, wear this label so you know. No. They teach you, hey, when you see this, it means this. That means everything that you do from the time that you know that you're a part of this society is to affirm that. That means that now we're not gonna fight to not be black. We're gonna fight because of what black means. We're not gonna fight to release ourselves from calling ourselves black. We're gonna protect what black means to us.
Yeah, but and you know what's crazy? It's like a false was it dichotomy? Nah, it's like a false
Yeah, it's false as fuck. It's artificial in a bitch,
yeah.
but it
Because
means
we're trying to
so
we're
fucking much.
defending nothing. It's not even real. We get offended and
Skin,
they planted that shit. It wasn't even
skin
real. It was
tone,
yeah.
skin tone, and phenotype produce it. The inherent value has to do with its relationship to your environment. That's it. It doesn't speak to the type of person you are, what it means for your future. None of that shit. It just means how much sun you can soak up. You feel me? How much oxygen you can inhale. That type of shit.
Well, consider this. take a Chinese man and insert him in a black community and all the way to grandfather age. And that grandson, that that grandson is gonna talk black. He gonna beatbox, he gonna rap, he gonna think he black, he gonna feel black. He gonna be pissed if you tell him that he not. You feel what I'm saying? I don't think that any of that shit is real. I think that it's all, you know, the same people that's always been on the planet are now a different mix. Different mixtures now. That's it. And we in a position to where we're in a geographical positioning to where now these particular group of people can mix and make this look. But these are the same ingredients that's always been here. I don't think it's ever been African until recent history. Because the so-called person that you would call an African has been in every in every society, bro. They are part of all the world that is known today. So back to my reset and cataclysm. And somebody decided this time it's going to go down this way. And we're not going to, because I'm reading a book again. I'm reading another book that said
you don't think like Africa, well, it was a term that was used by Africans?
No, I think that the whole, just like the black white understanding, that even the Africa, the the land was divided by man and not by God. You see what I'm saying? Everything is made up. Everything is a whole, like a damn near, to me, bro. Like, as I begun to get more knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Everything is like a proxy, like Windows over DOS and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like Windows over DOS. It's nothing that is none of it is real. Like, none of the lands are what they were. Yeah, we could say, so like, for instance, you'll say China, and then you'll think that Chinese people always been living in China, but it's not. It's been a whole nother civilization that created that place. And other people came and lived on top of it. But we don't understand that concept. So even, like I said, even with us and even with the slavery thing, bro, it's all a planted idea that was watered over time, only a couple of generations. Because I'm pretty sure that our great grandparents did not think like that. They didn't submit to certain shit.
Yeah, that's some real shit. I'm gonna call it a night though. So I'm gonna fuck with y'all or shit. If y'all wanna stay on, or we can end it. It's up to y'all.
What time is it? Oh, it's 4 minutes. It's time to go to bed, bro. Well, it ain't time to go to bed. It's time to shut up.
Yeah, I'm out too, bro.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and end it. You know what I mean? Shout out to Asar and Kai. Shout out to T Dizzle. The Final Four is set. You know what I'm saying? We're getting into that tomorrow.